another preview of this special edition going on here for JMC Live. We have on the phone the Executive Director of Morality and Media, Don Hawkins. We're going to cover briefly what's going on with Groupon from their promotion of the Kink website. And we're going to cover what's going on in New York with this court ruling. And then just recently she was in a debate with an erotic film director over should modern women feel empowered by S&M pornography. Without further ado, I'd like to thank you for coming today, Don. I hope you're having a great day. I know here in Ohio it's pretty warm, so hopefully everything in DC is going well for you today.
It is really nice. Thank you.
Well, I wanted to touch briefly. I know everyone's been watching the YouTube videos about Groupon. Is there any updates on them? I know that recently, between the plane incident that you had where you saw the person with the pornography and then now this thing going on with Groupon, a lot of things are coming out into play. And from what I'm seeing, Groupon itself isn't really wanting to do any changes, are they?
Well, I'll actually fill you in. We've got now 18,000 people who are boycotting Groupon because Groupon decided to run ads that feature a tour at a torture porn studio in California.
Yes.
We confronted Groupon and asked them to stop doing business with this torture porn company, and Groupon responded defending the company as a good, upstanding citizen of the community because they give to local youth charities. When we heard that Groupon was defending the torture porn company and standing behind their decision to run ads for them, we launched a boycott. 18,000 people have now joined in, 7 other organizations. And Groupon actually just recently took down their ads. So we've had a little bit of success. Groupon is still defending the company and still has not made any announcement that they'll stop doing business with pornography companies, but they did remove the ads. They also started running an ad for Playboy, which Playboy is the world's top sexual exploiter. They're the reasons why Playboy is the reason why Kink, the torture porn company, is so popular now. And so it's a big deal. But Groupon removed ads for both Playboy and for the torture porn studio.
Exactly.
Happy about that, but it's still not enough. So the boycott is still continuing as we wait for Groupon to say that they're done doing business with organizations like this.
Yeah, and I mentioned before on a prior show that I had where you know anyone can go to this link and see what this information is about. It's not even set up for adult standards where you would have to log in with an access code, which I know it's very apparent with some of the pornography websites. You have to have these access codes and prove you're an adult. This is just out in the open for anyone to look at, and it's telling children this stuff is okay, and it makes me sick to my stomach seeing this. So then they go from, you know, extremist, hardcore pornography to, well, let's try and do Playboy. I remember I was in high school one year, and I think it was my economics professor told the whole class that he thinks Playboy is a good articles to read. That was his defense when I was in high school about 12, 13 years ago. I think that, especially me being a college student, society as a whole keeps changing the definitions of what actually means morality and what means truth anymore. And we get into these situations like this New York child porn decision. I've been reading this over. I read it over in the Christian Post. I read it in a couple of other sites too. And the fact that they're trying to say that your internet cache can no longer hold any legal validity as to what you're looking at. And me being a computer science major, that's completely one of the first places I would want to look at if I was doing an investigation. I would want to see your internet cache. I would want to see your cookies. What have you been looking at to prove that this is the kind of material and things you're doing? And seeing this kind of action coming through the Court of Appeals, are you getting any updates on this at all? I mean, I know the backlash is expanding. The last article I read was on the 14th, on Monday. Do you have any thoughts on what's going on next with that and what you think we can do?
Well, there is a lot we can do. Immediately, the day after the court ruled that it is legal to view child pornography on the internet, essentially, we launched efforts to contact Governor Cuomo, the governor of New York, and all New York State senators, asking them to immediately introduce legislation to fix this loophole. That same day, we had 1,000 people contacting the governor and state senators within 6 hours. That same day, one of the state senators, Martin Golden, I think is his name, he introduced legislation that will fix the loophole. And now we're just asking and encouraging people to ask other New York State senators and the House to support this bill. Even if you don't live in New York, this is important. If this is allowed in New York, it's only a matter of time until it's allowed in many other places too. And so there is something you can do. Spread the word. Fight back about it. Say that there is a standard, a community standard, but it is not okay ever to look at child pornography. And if somebody is actively seeking this out online with the intent to look at it, does that should count and constitute a crime? Yeah, there's a lot that people can do.
Yeah, and like you said, for my dealings with the political realm, you're completely right. When a New York legislation passes a law, what happens is that carries over to the other states, and they start looking at what that law was being passed. For the viewers that aren't familiar with how government and law works, and they're going to look at this ruling and say, well, if they let it get away, then we should let it happen too. And if we don't step up and want to, let our voices be heard and get a hold of our legislation and let people know that this can't change. Groupon did remove their ads, and yes, there's been other regulations and obscenity laws that have been enforced, even though in some cases some of them haven't. And I wanted to transition on to, and the last I looked at this, the debate, it was a 6% difference because Huffington Post has it where you vote in the beginning, and then you vote on the end on the modern women should feel empowered by S&M pornography. I've heard at my campus, in fact, the main campus of Ohio University a few years ago actually allowed Annie Sprinkle and her girlfriend to come on campus, and they used the Appalachian area to continue their sex ecology or ecosexology and marry the earth and everything, and they actually promoted pornography for a whole week on campus. This is one of the topics she talked about, was sadomasochism porn. And I'm extremely excited that there is at least, the 6% difference, and everyone so far looks in favor of you on this debate against Erica Lust on does S&M porn modernize women. Now, I know from my campus and the other colleges I've been involved in, they're always wanting to do this defeminization of men and try and come out with this feminization of women, that women can have empowerment. And they use historical facts like women are now able to vote and things like that. But then they want to go this direction with this sexual activity. And I'm looking at what you said here, that you don't doubt some women may enjoy this, but you cannot convince them that they're empowered by it and that porn is not empowering. The way I look at this sadomasochism porn is I don't think it's any different than someone who's been molested or raped on a daily basis. It's just the same activity, except for somebody's trying to say, well, I gave permission for this person to do that. If there was a crime in public where somebody was beating a woman and she said, well, I let him do that, and she was beaten to a pulp, I think they would still get arrested. That's the point. Morality keeps changing because we keep redefining historically what words mean and how people act. And I think that this is coming to a point where we do have to take stands like this, and I really commend you for this debate.
Well, thank you. It's important that we make a stand, that we speak out about this. If not, then this is just going to override our culture. It's everywhere. It's so pervasive. I can't even believe that we have to have a debate about whether or not it is empowering to abuse another human being.
Exactly.
I mean, this is ridiculous, especially abusing them in a sexual manner. That should not ever be constituted as empowering. It's not empowering to abuse others or to be abused.
Exactly, you're completely correct. And like I said, I know that they've been changing the obscenity laws, especially like the urination and other things, to try and make it not a mental illness anymore. And that's what's happening. This goes back to legislation. When we keep changing and redefining laws, These things happen. And it's only a matter of time before somebody tries to come around and say, well, this stuff isn't a mental illness, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just completely normal, because we have a large amount of people doing it. This whole majority vote thing, when it comes to something like this, I don't agree with it at all. When I was in the military and when I was growing up, I've known people, friends and other people that got involved in this kind of activity, and they've hurt themselves, they've hurt others. This and the mental scarring that a man and woman that goes through a sadomasochism event is something that is life-altering, changing. A lot of these people I've talked to in ministry, they have PTSD now. They have an actual physical illness, and if you move a certain way, talk about a certain thing, smell something, it sets them off, and they remember this, and they don't act like this is something wonderful that happened to them. It's something that lasts in their life forever and scars their brain. Well, I'd like to thank you, Dawn, for coming today. It's been an amazing time with you, and I want to commend you for everything that you're doing, and keep up the good fight.
Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for helping to spread the word about this. Pornography is harming millions of Americans. It's destroying lives. And I just want to highlight, though, that people can learn more and find a lot of resources to help. If you're suffering from addiction, or if your family has been affected, if you want to learn how to approach this issue with your children, just go to pornharms.com, and we've listed out a lot of resources for you.
Yes, pornharms.com. I've looked over the website. There's a lot of information. They have a YouTube page, a Facebook page, a Twitter page. There's an email and even fax and phone number you can call. Get more information. There's things that you can share. Be educated and become active and be the activist in helping men, women, and children fight against porn. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Well, I'd like to thank you guys for this wonderful opportunity to check into another JMC Live interview. That was Don Hawkins. That website again is pornharms.com. This is going to be a continuing story, as we did Chelsea Schilling not too long ago. Here we're doing Don Hawkins, the Executive Director of Morality and Media. She's partnered with several different organizations across the board and trying to make a difference in fighting illegal porn and making certain that some of the porn that already exists becomes illegal. As a Christian, I want to pause briefly and tell you that I personally have been affected by this. From the people that have molested me in my life to me actually physically looking at pornography at a later age. I understand 100% the satanic effects, the demonic entities that capture a man and woman's mind and goes into their hearts, and it redefines what you think is normal, godly relationship between a man and a woman, what sex should be. And this sadomasochism thing, it's a dark world where people are bought, sold, and sold on a massive scale. I'm trying not to get upset and cry. That's why I'm losing my voice here, because I've heard the heart-wrenching stories and met the men and women who have been molested. I've heard and seen the stories of children that have had to go through countless surgeries, countless amounts of times of counseling because of what a man or woman did. There is no way anyone can tell me 100% that you want to be chained to a wall for 6-8 hours a day and get beat up and urinated on, that's acceptable. Now, you may have given that person a free will and right to physically harm you, but that doesn't make it right in society. And if we as Christians, we as a people, a nation, a country, a world does not decide that these men and women, these children are not important, that their lives mean something more than this, then this kind of activity is going to go on. Yes, there is evil in the world. Yes, there are people that like to watch this. There are people who like to participate in this. And we need to pray for them, that Jesus Christ will set them free. Thank you very much.